Isang magandang araw sa ating lahat mga kabayan. Welcome and welcome back sa ating channel, The Opinionated Kabayan. Kamusta kayo? Sana ay nasa mabuti kayong kalagayan. Another day, another video opinion na naman tayo. Sa mga hindi pa nakasubscribe sa ating channel, ay mag-subscribe na kayo para lagi kayong updated sa ating mga video opinions here. For today's video, ating pag-usapan at bigyan ng opinion ang naging investigation ng PNP and CIDG tungkol sa mga ministries ni Quiboloy inside KOJC. But before that, let's hear from Quiboloy himself kung ilan nga ba talaga ang members ng KOJC.
Pero unang tanong po, ilan ang miyembro ng KOJC?
Salamat po, Madam Chair, sa pagkakataong ito na makaharap ko ang lahat ng mga nandirito at narinig ko ang kanilang mga testimonya. At magpasimula po tayo kay Ms. Valdehuesa.
Pastor Quiboloy, Mr. Quiboloy, yung
Chair,
tanong ko muna, ilan ang miyembro ng KOJC?
more or less po sa tingnan ko po muna ang exact na
Kahit in estimate po.
more or less po, including mga partners, yung ibig sabihin ng partners, yung hindi pa membro, pero covenant partner na sila, mga more or less 7 million.
Okay, so ayan 7 milyong daw ang members niya. Now, panoorin naman natin ang presentation ng PNP-CIDG during the Senate hearing.
May I show you some of these slides whom I know it's pertinent to the topic at bar. Next slide, please. The Kingdom of Jesus Christ was founded, yes. I think ito yung tanong kanina na next po, next na. Next slide. Thank you. Kanina, Pastor Quiboloy was asked kung ilan yung members of the KOJC. And publicly announced that their members have reached about 8 million followers. However, based on the interviews conducted by us, only about less than 8,000 members are believed to be currently active members of the said religious denominations worldwide. And nakita po ninyo sa screen yung breakdown. And these are all, they were all supplied by some of the members akin to the dynamics of KOJC. About 20 countries plus one, the Philippines, about 21 countries ang nailista ho namin dyan. Next slide. Nandyan ho yung mga numero.
Ayun lang, wala naman palang milyon ang members ng KOJC, kundi 8,000 lang worldwide. That's only 0.12% of 7 million na akala ni Quiboloy ay members niya. I will repeat, it's only 0.12% of 7 million. At nakita naman natin na naka-breakdown ang 8,000. Ito ay based sa mga interviews with the members themselves. As for me, naniniwala ako sa mga numbers na ito kasi ito ay updated and syempre, PNP-CIDG yan. And I believe it just means na madami ng members ang natauhan na mula sa pambubudol ni Quiboloy, lalo ngayon na lumalabas na ang tunay na pagkatao niya. Pero 8,000 members is still a big number. Sana lahat ng yan ay matauhan na din. And sana pati mga politiko na patuloy pa ding naniniwala kay Quiboloy ay matauhan na din na ganyan lang kaunti ang members niya. Now, kung ganyan lang pala kaunti ang members ni Quiboloy, kahit pa lahat ng yan ay bumoto sa kanya bilang senador, ay hindi pa din siya mananalo. Anyways, let's continue the presentation.
Next slide. Ito yung simplified projection of the tip scheme of Pastor Quiboloy. First on the recruitment and then the grooming. Doon sa grooming, there will be separation kung sino ang prospect nila na maging subject of the sexual exploitation. Doon naman hindi mag-qualify, doon sa standard, pupunta sa ordinary miracle worker for the forced labor eventually. Next slide. kanina we were talking about the difference between the lifestyle of the pastoral and members of the simple workers. Next slide.
Just please return to one of the
Yes,
this
General
previous slide.
Torre.
If baka makalimutan lang ni Colonel Marantan. This room is the bedroom of Mr. Quiboloy in the Bible school. The Bible school, and there is a bedroom, something like that. Looks something like that. With the twin, the lower right corner is the twin tub jacuzzi. Jacuzzi for 2 persons. Thank you.
Mga kabayan, hindi ba kayo nagtataka bakit merong twin tub jacuzzi ang kwarto ni Quiboloy? Kung single siya at walang asawa, bakit merong twin tub jacuzzi for 2 persons ang kwarto niya?
And taken from the narrative of the
Yes,
pastorals,
Colonel Marantan.
this is where the sexual exploitation oftentimes is being perpetrated. Next slide. Yan po yung difference na sinasabi kanina ng mga kasama natin ng mga resource speakers. Next slide. On sexual exploitation perpetrated by Quiboloy after victim is groomed and ready for sexual exploitation. And victimization continued repeatedly through the years and by generation. Through his preaching with the inner pastorals per narrative of the former pastorals, Quiboloy aimed to acquire 1,000 women anchored on the biblical story of Solomon, king of Israel, who had 700 wives and 300 concubines. Next slide. Believed to have victimized around 200 women already.
Hindi ba ang claim ni Quiboloy ay siya ang appointed son of God? Siya daw si Jesus Christ? But it turns out, si King Solomon pala ang idol niya dahil his main goal is to have 700 wives and 300 concubines. OMG! Talagang front lang niya ang pagiging son of God. Kasi nga naman if he would introduce himself as King Solomon, na kilalang babaero, ay hindi talaga siya makakakuha ng mga magagandang pastorals niya. Di ngayon lumabas din ang totoo. Sorry na lang si Quiboloy, dahil so far ay 200 women pa lang ang nabibiktima niya at hindi na matutupad ang main goal niya to be King Solomon. Pero sa totoo lang, mga kabayan, if we would read the life of King Solomon in the Bible, in the book of Ecclesiastes, of which he is the author, it's nothing but a realization of how miserable his life was despite having 1,000 women in his life. That's why he said the words, vanity of vanities, all is vanity.
Currently, PNP identified 68 female personalities of different ages whom were victimized by Quiboloy's sexual exploitation, engaged in strict fellowship with the inner pastorals to brainwash them of the purpose of illegal acts. Quiboloy capitalized on the existence of angels of death to sow fear among inner pastorals. Doon pumasok yung matinding compartmentalization na kahit magkakatabi sila, hindi nila alam yung mga nangyari sa kanila. These inner pastorals who subjected themselves on the last rite, which is the performance of sexual activity with the Quiboloy himself. Next slide. Meron ho kaming mga sinundan na mga members of the pastoral. Very fresh pa yung mga experience na they can narrate it. Mamaya ho, maririnig din ninyo yung narrative ni Elias Marie.
Anyways, mga kabayan, sa mga patuloy pa din na naniniwalang dismissed na lahat ng mga kaso ni Quiboloy sa Amerika dahil sa binabalita ng isang news agency na wala namang prangkisa and walang credibility, gamitin po natin ang common sense natin. Kung dismissed na lahat ng mga kaso, bakit nasa FBI, wanted list pa din si Quiboloy? Ayano, malinaw pa sa sikat ng araw. Wanted by the FBI. Apollo Carreon Quiboloy. Full name pa nga? Ayano, lahat ng mga kaso niya andyan nakalagay. Conspiracy to engage in sex trafficking by force, fraud and coercion, and sex trafficking of children, sex trafficking by force, fraud and coercion, conspiracy, bulk cash smuggling. Ayan ba ang dismissed? Kumpleto pati self-proclaimed title niya nakalagay? Appointed Son of God. Ayan, andyan lahat. Meron ding Tagalog translation itong FBI wanted poster niya. Ayan o, pinaghahanap ng FBI. Apollo Carrion Quiboloy. Pwede niyong basahin sa Tagalog para mas maintindihan nyo. Huwag tayo magpaloko mga kabayan. Ang link sa website na ito ay nasa description below. Visit the link and see for yourself kung dismissed nga ba.
Next slide. Yung tatlong na-invite natin, invited by the Senate, si Stephanie Ibarra, and three of them, pwedeng i-refer ko lang. Si Olive Campo and Jack Holtz, ay hindi nag-respond sa invitation by the Senate. Pinapakita namin sa inyo ang due diligence performed by the members of the DCPO. Pero apparently, they did not heed to the invitation of the Senate, especially Stephanie Ibarra.
Sa mga hindi nakakakilala kay Stephanie Ibarra, siya po ang pinakapaboritong pastoral ni Quiboloy and she's one of the main singers sa kojc. 2 taong gulang pa lang siya ay kinupkop na siya ni Quiboloy hanggang ngayon na more than 30 years old na siya. Doon na siya lumaki sa kingdom kasama si Quiboloy at ayon nga sa mga testimonies ay malapit talaga itong si Stephanie at Quiboloy. Kahit si Mike Abe na dating news anchor ng smni ay sinabi na malapit talaga sila. Kung hindi nyo pa napanood ang video opinion ko sa testimony ni Mike Abe, I will link that video in the description below. Even ang Ukrainian na si Yulia ay sinabi din na close talaga si Quiboloy at Stephanie. Biruin mo ang kanilang mga kwarto ay merong lagusan sa isa't isa. Kaya nga ang PNP-CIDG ay in-invite si Stephanie to testify sana kasi obviously and for sure, alam niya ang mga tunay na nangyayari sa kojc. Pero hindi nagpaunlak sa invitation si Stephanie. Siyempre hindi talaga yan magpapaunlak dahil hawak yan sa leeg ni Quiboloy dahil alam mismo ni Quiboloy na pag umamin si Stephanie ay tapos na ang usapan. Stephanie is his trophy nga diba, sabi ni Yulia, and Stephanie also will be his downfall.
Next slide. Yan po yung mga efforts. Every day, pumupunta yung mga policemen natin doon sa alam ng mga address nila. Next slide. On the way forward, there's an investigation on the land grabbing issues at Barangay Tamayong, on the house of Quiboloy in Garden of Eden, Barangay Tamayong. Next slide. Oftentimes, naipalabas naman yung mga photos na ito. Financial investigation on possible money laundering case committed by Quiboloy and kojc. Investigation on possible tax evasion committed by kojc and other proprietary businesses owned by kojc. Investigation on the legality of operations of schools and other business entitled entities owned by kojc. And the investigation on the involvement of other foundations utilized by kojc in the operations.
Ayan, talagang sanga-sanga na itong mga kalokohan ni Quiboloy. All aspects of his life are now under investigation. Naniniwala ako na mas madami pang madadamay sa mga investigation na ito. And it so happened na ngayon, maging si Digong ay under investigation na din dahil sa extrajudicial killings. It's so ironic dahil itong mag-best friends na ito na ilang dekada nagpakasasa, ay ngayon sinisingil na sila ng batas. Mga kabayan, anong masasabi niyo sa video na ito? Comment down below your opinions, and I will see you on our next video.